a skinny little grippy pick on your guitar. There's an A minor, E, G, D. And it does seem a significant amount of ringing out of B. And if I'm doing a bar chord, certainly the highs are more pronounced than the lows. And then if we do a regular G, so let's do Bad Song, I know. So it's got a nice sound, very bright, very thin. It's not real woody. There's a lot of string in that. If we do one of my other guitars, this one's just a Breedlove, so it's not an expensive guitar. It's probably in the same ballpark as that. If we that same skinny pick, you can hear it's duller. It's not so sharp. There's more wood involved in it. And if we do a bar chord, whoops. Do the Bad Song, right? Now, your guitar with a thicker pick, I wouldn't be able to tell you how thick it is, but it's got some flex, but you'd consider it like a piece of steel stock. Let me just, we'll do a reminder. See how it softens everything up? I'm going to drop this just a touch. And it's still it's not a pick I often use either. Versus the thin pick. to an extent, you know, I mean, it depends on the sound you're going for. There's a G chord with a thick pick. I have no idea if the camera's picking this up, but I hope it is. And it would be the same, you know, even on here, if I do where I go to the thick pick. Now that might be, you know, too muddy for what you're looking for, so you might go with what would be a standard. It might be like a light medium or something. It certainly has flex to it, but it's not quite as papery as the red one. And so if we go from the red one then we go to the medium one, then we go to the thick one. You can, without question, hear all the differences in sound. And naturally, now you have, these are a very, very light string to be able to bend that well on an acoustic. It's a very light string. You do have very low action as well, so that's gonna, which is good for playing, but it's gonna make your tone a little less bassy. You're not gonna get the hard-hitting vibration out of that before it ends up buzzing on a fret. But if we do the heavy pick, we do the medium pick, and then we do the thin pick. I think I hit that a little hard in the beginning. I didn't mean to. I'm not trying to be biased here. So the guitar plays, you know, wonderfully. It's really good for being able to do some soloing in there. It just fits. It's got nice access up here. That's a little sharp. For me anyhow, when I come up, my hand does hit that. But once you played it for an hour, you'd get accustomed to that as you came up here. It wouldn't bother you. It frets easily as could be with the strings and stuff that you have on there. So it's set up well, but it is almost into the parlor guitar size. You know, you brought this in. It's an attractive guitar, and you wanted me to play it, and I thought it played very well. I didn't, you know, overanalyze it at the time, but it does seem to have it's got a nice, if I talk near it, it certainly talks, so it's a very thin soundboard and very responsive soundboard, which is what makes it be able to be a small guitar. I mean, if you look at the, I'm going to do this, we'll set my guitar here, and we'll put your guitar next to it, and I'll put it together at the bottom, and you can see how much deeper kind of a standard guitar would be. This by no means, this Breedlove that I have is by no means a big guitar. Then if we set them, I'll probably have to do it down here, and of course it won't be visible. Let's see if I do this. Back up a bit. I don't know, I'll turn it this way so that you've got the two high sides next to each other. But you can see how much shorter the body is on yours as well. And then even, which is going to be more difficult to show, let's see if I can show it here. If we can do it, I'll do it backwards. That way the woods are together and there's no metal on wood. So we've got, oh no, of course the camera's not going to show it. There's quite a bit of width in the body as well. So there's a lot more volume in a standard size guitar. This is almost a parlor or a practice. It's not quite a practice guitar, but in its thickness and its width, even in its length, it's got a much smaller setup. The wood is, let me see if I go to mine. You can hear that is braced a lot stronger, and it's got a lot, not a lot, but relatively speaking, it's got much thicker wood. So it's going to have, you know, more bass to it. And these poor strings are over a year old now. They were the strings that came on it when I bought it on vacation last year. You can hear all the different tones, and obviously, you know, you've got tighter up there, so it's braced. But, and they did run a brace across here. There is a cross brace, and then it comes back up here. I don't know whether they'd call that a V or an X, because nope, it would be V because there's no bracing. So it looks like the only bracing they've got in is here, and bracing is sound. Yeah, sometimes it's structure and durability, but mostly it's sound. So this whole thing is making all your sound, and I do notice that last thing I'll do here, I think, is that if I strum an E chord and I quiet that top string, the skinny E, you notice it. If I strum an E chord and I quiet the B string, you notice it. If I strum an E chord and I quiet the G string, you kind of notice it, but it's not big. Oops. And if I do it, you know, consecutively down, you'll hear the differences. E, B, G, D, A, E. So for me, the biggest one I noticed in the bass certainly was the A. I didn't even hear the E stop, and the D just barely. It could come through on the phone differently, but I noticed, you know, when I was doing pinball, if I lifted my fingers so that essentially those strings were muted, I didn't really hear a difference. That's with a medium pick, but if I went back, because what I had tried it with was the pick that you like to use. So I really have to beat on, you know, that E and the A string to get it to go. So if you wanted to change the sound, I really think you could get that done with the strings. These are light, they're almost electric guitar strings. So it's got nice, right? I mean, It's got nice sustain. It's got nice sound quality. It's got good volume. It's got a little bit of edge if you want to give it to it. It's not missing it. The roundy, slippery strings are a little funky for me. They don't move the way I want them to. But the only thing is I would say that there's strings that make an awful lot of noise relative to the other strings. So it's got a lot of mid to it. And it's got a subdued bass. And if that's because of the reaction of the wood vibrates happily at certain tones, then it's certainly going to be a change of strings can cause that to vibrate better. Got some sort of goo here that I could who knows what it is. It's without question the guitar is a mid-range, as far as pitch goes, projecting guitar. A different set of strings can settle that down, but obviously you heard that a pick also can. I don't want you to go up to, you know, using some beef stick of a pick. But moving on from the floppy is okay. There's certain places where, you know, it belongs. It's not bad to hear it all with pinball. But it's not necessarily great to hear it with doing what's that song? Twilight Zone, right? So, strings and a pick, I think, will bring you right around. Just if I discover anything else to be able to show you some things, certainly where you play, I keep asking you that. Very bright, a little bit bright, a lot less bright. And that is even more pronounced generally. When you're back here, you're going to be cowboyish. If you play to the middle, and then if you play up towards the neck, you're going to get something very different. So, lots of tin back here. More balanced here, generally. A lot less sharp, very round up here. It's a nice guitar. It plays different than what I'm used to. It sets different, but it's a nice guitar.